As Michael Johnson settled into his familiar nook on the D-line train, the rhythmic clatter of the rails promised another peaceful hour of reading during his commute home. His book open, the world around him faded into the background, giving way to the quiet solitude he cherished. But today's journey was destined for an unexpected interruption. A soft cry sliced through the hum of the moving train, snagging Michael's attention away from the printed words. He lifted his gaze, searching the near-empty car. His eyes landed on a curious sight, an infant, a small wriggling bundle wrapped in a threadbare blanket, abandoned in the adjacent seat. With a mixture of astonishment and concern, Michael approached. There nestled among the faded folds of the blanket lay a baby girl. Her big tear-filled eyes met his, a spoken plea echoing in their depths. No guardian in sight, no note of explanation, just an innocent child left startlingly alone. Michael's heart raced as panic mingled with a sudden fierce surge of protectiveness. Instinctively, he reached out his hands, gently lifting the baby. The soft murmur of his voice sought to calm her, cooing soothing sounds that filled the air between her intermittent sobs. The train, indifferent to its passengers' dramas, rolled into the next station. Michael stood at the precipice of a decision as the doors slid open with a hiss. Should he remain on board, hoping for a more suitable person to take charge, or step off into the uncertain, carrying his unexpected responsibility in his arms? The baby's vulnerable gaze, filled with a silent trusting appeal, tugged irresistibly at his heartstrings. With a resolve that surprised him, Michael tightened his hold on the infant and stepped off the train. The doors closed behind him with a final click, sealing away the quiet world he once knew. Ahead lay the unknown, a new path dictated by the weight of the tiny life cradled against his chest. Her cries now just whispers in the bustling noise of the station. Under the sterile white lights of the hospital, Michael stood by his doctors, examined the small abandoned infant he had named Hope. Despite her precarious start, she was declared healthy, a resilient spark in her eyes belling her silent ordeal. As the medical staff busied themselves with paperwork and calls to authorities, Michael hovered nearby, the weight of his newfound responsibility growing heavier with each passing moment. A curious stir at the entrance caught his attention. A local news reporter, her camera crew in tow, entered the hospital. Her eyes quickly settling on the unusual sight of Michael with the baby, approaching cautiously. She introduced herself with a gentle voice, "Mr. Johnson, I'm Lisa Monroe from Channel 8 News. We heard about your incredible act. Could we perhaps talk about what happened?" Michael hesitated, his gaze shifting between Hope and the reporter. The warmth in Lisa's eyes softened his resolve. Yes, it's okay. If it might help to find her family." As the camera rolled, Michael recounted the discovery of Hope on the train, each word careful, his hands protectively cradling the baby. Lisa's questions were thoughtful, nudging Michael to reveal his emotions about the ordeal. Though he remained guarded, his primary concern palpable through his concise, earnest answers. That evening, the story of Michael and Hope aired, capturing the hearts of viewers. The footage of Michael, a reluctant hero, cradling Hope, moved many to tears. His phone began to buzz continuously with messages and calls, strangers from across the globe reaching out with offers to help, donations, and pleas to adopt Hope. As he watched the segment from his modest living room, the reality of his altered life settled in. The quiet existence he once knew was now a public narrative intertwined with the fate of the little girl in his arms. "Look, Hope," he whispered, a slight tremor in his voice as he pointed at the television, "all these people, people want to help you." Hope gurgled back, a small, oblivious smile on her face, her tiny hand gripping his finger tightly. The warmth of the small living room contrasted sharply with the turmoil inside Michael as he awaited the arrival of the couple who hoped to become Hope's parents. The viral story of his unexpected guardianship had reached far and wide, eventually touching the hearts of Elizabeth and James, a couple who had faced their own heartaches in the realm of adoption. When the doorbell rang, Michael took a deep breath, his hands slightly trembling as he opened the door. Elizabeth's eyes were bright with unshed tears as she stepped inside, closely followed by James, whose hopeful smile seemed to falter under the weight of the moment. "Michael, we can't thank you enough for giving us this opportunity," James said, extending a hand that Michael shook, feeling the firm grip of shared understanding. "It's Hope who brought us together," Michael replied, his voice thick. "She's special." As they sat down, the conversation gently turned towards their hopes and dreams for Hope. Elizabeth, her voice soft but filled with determination, shared their journey in the longing that had led them here. "We've dreamed of this for so long," she whispered. Michael watched them, seeing the love they already had for Hope. When he brought her into the room, her curious eyes took in the strangers, a calmness settling over her that Michael took as a sign. The adoption process was thorough, with numerous checks and visits that filled the days. Each step was a reminder of the impending change, stirring a complex whirl of emotions in Michael. Relief that Hope would grow up in a loving home mixed with a piercing sadness at the thought of her absence in his daily life. The final day arrived, solemn and sweet, as they gathered in a small sunlit room to finalize the adoption. "Would you be her godfather?" Elizabeth asked, her voice hopeful, threading through the thick emotional air. Michael's answer was a choked yes, tears pooling in his eyes, gratitude swelling in his chest for the chance to remain a part of Hope's life. As he handed Hope to Elizabeth, his heart squeezed tight, but the joy in the couple's eyes, the community's support, and the purpose he had found in advocacy for abandoned children comforted him. Michael stepped back, a soft smile curving his lips as he watched Hope nestle into her new life, his life forever altered by the journey that had started on a quiet train ride. His story, a beacon of unexpected hope and compassion, continued to resonate, inspiring others to open their hearts and homes.